And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I'm back with another video to help you guys out along your Spotlight Sim grind. So I wasn't going to come out with any more videos tonight. I was going to take the night off and just grind 2K. But first off, I want to give a big shout out to my man Tech Sizzle, because I wouldn't have been able to remember this play at all if he hadn't posted about it on Twitter. So shout out to you, my man, if you're watching the video. He posted something about having a bunch of Pelicans playbooks that he was like hyped to sell, and I was like, why? And then I was like, oh my god. So I forgot about this play. After looking it up, I found the high five play. So I'm going to go through that play today. It's not quite, I'm not going to clickbait the title and be like new quick through STS or whatever, but it's as close as we got at this point. So if you guys are not familiar, hopefully most of you guys, I know a lot of people on my channel open a bunch of packs, so I'm guessing you guys have this playbook. I mentioned a couple playbooks when I was getting ready for Spotlight Sims, like the Pistons playbook doesn't have the money play it did once before, but the Pelicans playbook does. Earlier today it was about 5K. Yeah, now it's about 20K. Okay, so it looks like there's probably a lot of videos out there, which is cool. The more people that know about it, the better. Sun's playbook was really expensive this morning, but it looks like it's not right now, so I'm guessing whatever play was inside of it doesn't really work too well. Like I said, the rest of the night I'm going to run through a bunch of different playbooks and a bunch of different slashing type plays and three-point plays. Try to find some ones that work well for you guys, just to see if we can kind of get the edge over Spotlight Sims, because that Hall of Fame CPU, while having to use 10 players from different franchises, is... Look, it's tough even for the best of players, like realistically. I mean, I'm not one of those people. But it looks like the Mavericks playbook, the Cavaliers playbook, one of the Heat playbooks. These are all expensive. Hawks playbook is expensive for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to run through a bunch of different games with these playbooks and just kind of see which ones are worth the price and stuff like that. But obviously I'm going to start with the one that I know for a fact works really well in the Pelicans playbook. The play in question is called High Five, which is, it's pretty tight. I like that name. Well, let's go jump into a game real quick and we'll see what's up. So I'm hoping it works. Alright, so now the reason we're partly into a game is because I wanted to run the play a bunch of times before I recorded this to see what happens when you run it a lot to the CPU. Because some plays work really well for 2 or 3 times and then they stop working, the CPU gets wise. So you want to go to offensive settings, obviously go to play selection, select High Five with the Pelicans playbook. Keep it as your top one so it's always right there so you can bust it out quickly. I recommend having like a Pelicans freelance or a Hawks freelance going too, it just spreads it out. So go here, obviously LB, bring it up. Just like Quick Through STS, sort of. Okay, well, I don't know why you threw it over there. I definitely pressed A, but it's cool. All right, so I'm going to give it to Dirk, and then Lynn's going to cut. Now, here's what's going to happen. Now that I've run it a bunch of times, obviously I could have given myself more time. The CPU does anticipate it a little bit, and I'm going to run it a few more times just to show you what's going on with it. Like I said, it's not like Quick Through STS. It's not 1000% accurate. Like 1000% it's going to work like Quick Through STS was. But it's as close as we have in this game at this point, at least to my knowledge. Maybe there's another play out there. I don't know. I'm not making this video for clout. I'm making this to help the subs out. Check it out. So here, throw it over to Dirk whenever it prompts you. Now, you might have to wait a second, but eventually the point guard will get through the middle there. Like, occasionally they'll step down and guard it, but even then you have a one-on-one. Now, part of the reason that I wanted to wait to do this as well is because the point guard on Jeremy Lin is Dennis Johnson, who's one of the better defensive point guards in this game, especially the CPU Hall of Fame Dennis Johnson, who's an absolute nightmare. So you can also run it with anybody who plays a guard position. So if you want to run it with your small forward, if there's a matchup you want to exploit, like someone who's kind of slow, you can run it with like T-Mac, and he can kind of go around it. The reason I like running it with guys like T-Mac too is if the play gets broken in any way, shape, or form, they're good enough that they can just kind of raise up and dunk it. So the one thing I'm kind of noticing with this play though is if you just run it back to back to back to back, eventually they're going to start stopping it, which is super annoying. But it does take him a while to do that. You can probably get it off like 10 times. Maybe 1 or 2 will get broken up, but you can still score on a majority of your possessions with it. I would be willing to say almost all of them. Mixing it up with a little... Okay, that didn't work at all. Mixing it with some pick and roll action works out, except when you're playing against Art Gilmore, because he just sits in the paint and just waits for Dirk to come. Like that, which, you know, doesn't really work out. It's not really conducive to success. Now, I will say the better cards you have out there, the harder it is to execute these plays. At least in my opinion. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Like, when it comes to... When it comes to Jeremy Lin, they seem to guard it a lot better because I have Chauncey Billups on my bench because I'm running like all Pistons players. I have to run 10. It seems that it works better with Chauncey Billups than it does with Jeremy Lin, which doesn't make any sense because there's not a single thing Chauncey is better at than Jeremy. Oof. Yeah, see? He played tough defense on that. Jeremy Lin just couldn't get around him. Personally, I think it's because the CPU adapts to Jeremy Lin being more of a slashing type player and assumes he's going to attack the basket, whereas Chauncey is not that kind of player. So, I should probably stop spacing out and like play the game. But he's not that type of player, and that's kind of what I'm guessing. But I'll put my bench unit in here pretty soon. Let me run it with Dissinger. Dissinger works well, obviously. Anybody who's like a slasher. See, Art Gilmore switched over on that one. That's just bad luck. Occasionally, you're just going to get a bad switch. If you see that happen, I wouldn't run that. If you see the center, like, big-ass Art Gilmore switch over onto it, just scrap it and go throw it to another person to run the play because Art Gilmore is just going to sit there and camp, and he's going to go straight to the basket. See, boom, it worked that time. Good to go. Like I said, not quick through STS, but man, is it going to make things a lot easier. Are you going to be able to run it every single time and score? Possibly. Yeah, possibly you can run it 9 times out of 10 and score at a pretty decent clip. Would I recommend doing it, just keeping it in your back pocket? You know, playing the game, if you start to get behind a couple points, bust it out. Use it, you know, if you want to have a nice average, maybe use it every 2 or 3 possessions, just so you can consistently score. Now, one thing I will say, though, that will help with this play a lot is just chucking the occasional 3. You don't even really have to make the 3, and I've noticed that this works out. That's why I wanted to record this while I was halfway through the game, so I could test out this play and just kind of test what affects it and what doesn't. I've noticed that if you take a couple possessions and just shoot a couple 3s, said play and even pick and rolls just start to work a little bit easier, and I think that has to do with the adaptive coaching engine that 2K has. Once you shoot a few 3s, they think you're going to be 3 hunting, so they'll start to patrol the perimeter a little bit more, especially if you make a couple. So that'll definitely help it out. Obviously, when you're playing on pro and stuff, you don't really need this play as much, but let me go foul him real quick. I'm trying to get the bench unit in. Run this with Chauncey and Bob Lanier. The reason I want to run it with these guys is because they're not incredibly good. Like, Chauncey's got some okay badges, and like Bob Lanier has some okay badges, but they're not what I would consider to be ideal cards for this play. And I'll show you what I mean, because they still have this whole same team basically out there, and it works just as well. So, what's up, my man Chauncey? Let's go high five it real quick. 2K will just take a second to register. Boom. And then, see, Chauncey is able to get right through there, and I don't know what that's all about. Now, obviously, Paul Westfall's back in the game, so that has something to do with it, I'm guessing. But I was having problems with Jeremy Lin and Paul Westfall earlier, so it could just be Dennis Johnson causing those issues. So you just want to play your matchups. But Kareem's out here now, so you got to watch that switch, because this Kareem is an absolute demon, dude. He will kill you. But bam. Now, I will say, once you get to the 80s and you're having to deal with Magic Johnson, the Opal Magic Johnson that they have on a consistent basis, you're going to run into some problems with this play. I'll tell you that right now. Like, because that's where I'm at outside of this one, and it's still works a very good majority of the time. I'd say 6 to 7 out of 10 times it will still work. But that Magic is a huge pain. I forgot what year I'm even on where Magic's at, but he's super annoying just because of his combo of speed and size. But as you can see, like, I messed up a bunch initially. No worries. You can use it a lot. The CPU will glitch out. It's not going to work. like I said, I'm not doing this video for clout, man. I'm not trying to come up off this video. I just had a lot of my subs in the comments earlier expressing a lot of frustration with the Spotlight sims. So I wanted to put a video out that at least showed how to do a relatively easy play. Now, granted, if you don't have Pelican's playbook, it is going to be expensive, but if it's the difference between you winning or not winning, it's probably worth 20K, you know? So as always, it's been your boy Cheap Ludes. Sorry if I was rambling a little bit. I'm so tired. I've been playing too much 2K and I'm blasted. Check the description for all my stuff. As always, I'm going to put out more videos tomorrow, and good luck.